guys, it's Annie Margarita Yang back with another video for you today. Today is Tuesday, February 27, 2024. Hope you're having a great day today. So today's topic is kind of mixed. It's based on a question that I got from my music theory teacher earlier today after we finished a lesson and we had a 1-hour conversation. And his question to me is, so he started a music school, basically a kind of school where the teachers will go to your home to teach lessons. So if you sign up for piano lessons, the teacher will travel to your home for lessons. Singing lessons, same. The teacher will travel to your home. So he's not necessarily going to be the only one teaching. He has multiple teachers under the school that has signed up to teach. And he said, I advertised using Google Ads, and looking at the data and the statistics, we're getting a lot of clicks. So Annie, I want your advice. Why is this not necessarily converting into sales? Why has nobody called us or emailed us, contacted us in any way to buy music lessons from us? And I said to him, this is the answer basically that I told him. I said, you don't necessarily know what will work in your business. If everyone could tell you the straight answer on how you can grow your business and they're 100% certain that it will work, then, I'd be a millionaire, right? Because then if it's so easy to know what would work, I would have already done it and I'd be super rich at this point. The fact is, every business is different. Every clientele, every service that you're offering is different. And you don't necessarily know what the right formula is that will get people to buy. Like, what you're selling, is it something that people want to buy? And is it at a good price? And are you selling it to the right customer? And how are you selling it to the customer? Like, there's just so many variables, and you really just don't know exactly what the right formula will work is. Like, for example, think of it like baking a cake. You need a certain ratio of butter to sugar, right? Butter to sugar to flour. I don't necessarily know all the ingredients of our cake, but it has certain ratios that you have to follow. It's a formula. When you bake a cake, you follow a recipe. That is the formula, right? And maybe for a chocolate cake, yes, there's chocolate cake, but there's so many variations of chocolate cake. Everyone has their own variation of what will turn out to be a great cake. I'm just using that as an example. So yes, you're starting a music school. There are lots of music schools out there. There are so many variations of music school. So what is the right formula for you? That's something that you have to figure out. And you have to basically not be afraid to try. Keep trying brand new things until you find the thing that works. And what I told him is, let me tell him what didn't work for me, all right? So after I launched the 5-Day Job Search book, I said, okay, I have 50 ways I want to market this book, and I'm just gonna go down this list and follow all the ways of marketing this book and just like fully implement, right? So on this list was like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Pinterest, in-person marketing, like a whole bunch of things. And I don't know what will work to make this book huge. I'm literally just going to go down this list and implement all these things on the list one at a time, full force, until I find the thing that will work. And so the first thing that I did to target this was I decided, you know what? I already have an audience on YouTube, but I don't want to sell to my existing audience. I want to maybe try to tap into other people's audiences. So everyone has their own show. All these podcast hosts, they have their own show. I want to tap into their audience. So that way, if a show has about 2,000 listeners, then times that by 500 shows, if I do 500 times 2,000 listeners each, then I'll have exposed 1 million people to the 5-Day Job Search. Now, I didn't end up getting booked on 500. I realized, wow, that's some crazy thinking I've got there. 500 is a lot of work. I ended up finishing at interview number 120 today. So I did 120 and I have 10 more to go through the end of May. But now after 120, I now know that guesting on other people's podcasts, it doesn't necessarily turn into sales. But I wouldn't have known that until I've done it, until I've actually gone on people's shows and then these shows have released, and then I have data and experience to work with to have the lesson now that actually it doesn't turn into sales. And I didn't know this before I started, right? It's not something I would have known until after I started. I had to try it first to really understand. And now that I've done it, I realized, oh, it doesn't turn into sales because the way people listen to podcasts, they're listening on their way to work, or they're doing errands, or they're out for a run, or they're at the gym, and they're just like trying to get some educational material into their head while they're doing this stuff. They're not necessarily in a state of mind ready to buy. So they're in a state of mind ready to be like exposed to a new concept or a new idea, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're ready to like open up their wallet or like stop what they're doing, which is all these errands that they're running, or they're jogging, or they're commuting. Stop what they're doing, pull over on the side of the road, type in AnnieYangFinancial.com, and then click the buy button, right? Add the book to their shopping cart, pull out their credit card and punch that in, and then check out, right? It doesn't necessarily translate into that. I didn't know that before I started. It's only something I realized afterward, right? So it's the same thing when he asked me this question, oh, why isn't it working? Well, you're growing a business, you have to try so many things, and then you'll see what will work. You won't know before you try it, right? And then something that I learned only after I've done all these shows is it doesn't necessarily translate into sales, but it translates into authority. So this is something that you can walk away with from this video if you're just a job seeker. One of the things that I learned while doing this process is that when you get on a show, once people see that you're on so many shows, it builds the perception that you're an expert, that you're an authority on a topic, and it just really elevates you. Like I got on some of these shows and people were like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm talking to a celebrity. I was just like, no, I'm just a normal person. I'm not a celebrity. Please don't treat me that way. But because it really like elevates that status, that social perception that people have of you, that's the benefit, right? And then now when I go on Google and Bing and I type in the words Annie Margarita Yang, all of those search results, like a large chunk of the search results are actually links to all of the shows that I've been on. And they're not my links, they're links to other people's shows. So the way that Google works these days is like, let's say I have, I don't know, 50 articles on AnnieMargaritaYang.com that I wrote throughout the years. I had a blog, and those actually used to be the things that came up when you searched on Google. This is like 10 years back, 8 to 10 years back. When you search on Google for Annie Margarita Yang, each individual article would show up on Google. But these days, Google doesn't do that. They don't like to show you multiple pages from one website only. They'll maybe show like between 1 and 3 pages max from your own website, which is ludicrous, right? But that's what they do. They'll just pick maybe at most 3 links from your own website when you're searching for your own name. And then what they try to do is they try to put in like a variety of sources. So they'll try to put on like Spreaker.com or iHeartRadio.com, Spotify.com, Apple.com. So like they want to like have a whole variety of sources that get returned for a search term that you're looking for. So in this case, Annie Margarita Yang. And because these are links not from me, but they're from like a whole variety on whatever platform that the host posted their show to, that's what's showing up on the Google results. So when people search for me now, it basically turns up like a whole bunch of results that aren't mine, but it builds that authority because so many results show up for my name. And while this doesn't lead to direct sales, what I could do is when I want to reach out to nonprofit organizations, schools, universities to give a talk, and they go, well, who are you? I've never heard of you before. Why should we have you speak? And then I'm just like, well, I'm Annie Margarita Yang. This is what I do. And then they'll be like, okay, maybe we'll consider you. Let me just Google you first to make sure you're legitimate and not just a nobody here, right? And so what they're going to do is they're going to search my name on Google, and then all of these search results that I've created are going to show up, and they're going to be like, oh, she really is an expert at what she does, and we would love to have her talk. We're so excited to have her on. So while the podcast, it didn't necessarily translate into sales directly, it translates into authority. And I actually think that's a great thing, right? So I've spent so far, if I estimated that I spent 1 hour of my time on each show. I've spent a 120-hour investment into this, but I would say it's worth it. And the reason why I say it's worth it is because if I ever lost all of my sources of income, if I lost my full-time job, if I lost all of my clients, and I really had to start fresh all over again because I just had no income coming in, the very least that I have is I have my name. Okay, I have my reputation. So if I wanted to start in like a brand new career doing something totally different, let's say I wanted to become a public speaking trainer, for example, that's something I've been thinking about. Like, do I want to train other people in public speaking? Like, I want to do like a whole career change out of accounting into coaching people in public speaking instead, right? And if I wanted to do that, I would have a much easier time. And the reason is because I've already built this digital footprint that when people look me up online, they see that and they're like, wow, she has a really good reputation. We're open to hear what she has to say, and we're open to buy from her, basically. So that's basically the benefit of being on all these podcasts. And so that's my answer to my music theory teacher. He followed up the question with like, I don't understand how you stay so motivated. Like, he said, I don't have it in me to do 120 shows. I don't know where you get all this energy to do all of these shows and still all the things you're doing outside of that in your life. And I don't know either, I'll be very honest. I told him, you know, one thing that definitely motivates me for sure is when people tell me I can't do something, or they tell me I'm wrong or something like that. I definitely take those words that people say and I'm just like, oh yeah, well, you watch me. I'm gonna prove you wrong. I'm gonna find a way. Don't tell me something's impossible. I wanna see for myself that it's actually impossible. I don't wanna just take your opinion as fact. I wanna see for myself. So that's basically my general attitude when I think something's not possible. And then I gave him an example. So I wanna buy a piece of rural land, so raw land in Tennessee. And last week when I was sick and I couldn't do very much, I was basically on my phone in bed, and I was on Zillow.com and Redfin.com. I was looking for raw land in Tennessee, and I was looking at the prices and I was just like, oh my gosh, you know, the prices are so high. Some of these properties are asking for $10,000 an acre, and I'm looking to buy about 5 acres of land, and that's gonna be $50,000 just for a piece of land with nothing on it. And I just thought to myself, oh my gosh, you know, how am I gonna do this? This is so expensive, right? And then I said, Annie, I spoke to myself. I was like, Annie, you gotta get out of this mindset. Don't think something's impossible. You know, if somebody else has done it before, then it's definitely possible. So don't think about that. Instead, ask yourself this question: how? How can I get this piece of land? How can I get a piece of land in Tennessee? Like, don't start thinking it's impossible, because the moment you start thinking it's impossible, then you're just going to give up. So I changed the question to how. How? There must be a way. How, right? And so I kept asking myself this question. And then after a few days, I got the answer. On Sunday, basically all of what I did on Sunday was I just spent my time compiling 75 listings I found on Redfin in for counties in Tennessee that are good for homesteading and living off the grid. And basically I opened up every single individual listing in Redfin in those specific counties. So I must have made like a list of 15 counties that were good for living off the grid. And then I basically searched for raw land in each of those 15 counties. I opened up every single listing. And then if it said in the listing itself, like the dollar per acre was under $8,000, I saved the property. Now, I wish Redfin had a way for me to filter for properties based on the dollar per acre filter itself, but it doesn't. So I actually have to open each individual link and then look at the dollars per acre and then save the property. And then I ended up saving 75, and then I turned that into an Excel sheet. And then now with the Excel sheet, I can look at it in a more organized manner. And then I'm like, actually, yeah, it is doable, you know, because I found some raw land that was selling for about $3,700 an acre. I found a lot of land that was asking for $5,000 an acre, $6,000 an acre. And if I'm looking to buy about 5 acres at about $5,000 an acre, it's only a $25,000 purchase. And that's a lot more doable. That's something I can do. I can buy a $25,000 piece of land instead of spending $70,000, which is what I was doing in, you know, surfing on the phone. And then I was telling myself, oh my gosh, this is not doable. But then once I actually sat down and I was like, you know, I gotta be serious about this. I gotta be organized with my search, and I'm going to find that needle in a haystack where I actually get a really good deal for what I'm paying. Then that's when I set my mind to doing it. And then now I have these listings to work with. And then the next step is simply to fly down to Tennessee, do a trip there, right? Stay for a few days and actually see these properties in person before submitting an offer. But, you know, I've done a lot of the legwork already in terms of the research. So don't ever tell yourself that something is impossible. Like, don't let your mind go there. Just ask yourself the question, how? How can I do it? And if you keep asking yourself this question, your brain is a computer. It's like a supercomputer. It will somehow come up with an answer that will work for your situation. So that's all I have for you today. Don't give up, guys, you know. And also, you guys know there's a lot of censorship going on the internet these days. So if you want to stay in touch with me, then add me on Signal. The Signal app is end-to-end encrypted. So that means that the government cannot read the messages between you and me. And I just really want to stay in touch. I'm not looking to sell you anything when you message me on Signal. I just want to stay in touch in case I ever get deplatformed. So add my phone number. It's 806-544-2929. I look forward to hearing from you, and I will see you guys tomorrow.